Hello, and welcome to the Chapter 5 teaser. Chapter 5 kind of covers functions and introduces the non-void function, which is something you haven't seen before. Once again, this set of examples can be done on a teensy and a motherboard. It could be done with a teensy, for example, a Patton Robotics motherboard, or it could even be done with an Uno. I've already written the examples, and I've got my header information here and a basic setup, making sure that I got a serial port. I'm going to wait for that port to open, and I'm going to give it a little extra time, just in case, because some of these computers are getting kind of slow relative to the teensies, and they miss that first data stream that comes out of the serial port. And let's run down to example 1. Okay, so I've got a function, this is a void function, one you're already familiar with. And I'm going to actually jump down to that example so you can see it. So when it jumps from the loop and it comes to the call to function example 1, it runs down here. I have created a small variable. I'm going to do some very simple mathemagic. I'm going to calculate out my age by subtracting the current year from my year of birth. And I've got all this stuff spelled out, and hard-coded into the string. It's kind of cumbersome. Of course, it works great. I could change this. I could make it so that I was born in 1985, and then in the year, I don't know, 2029. But then I have to go and change this. Wait, I was born in 1985. Okay, hold on a second. Change this, and then it would be 2029. All right, and we run it. And it'll give me my new calculation, and it'll give me the new information, but it's cumbersome and slow. I could have created a couple of variables here, but still I'd have to be scrolling up and down to find it. All right, so let me change this back to 19. Let's change this back to 64. And we'll change that to 64. And then I want to show you how cool it'll be when you get done with chapter 5. Okay, so this should be working again. So that was a hassle. But let's look at example 2. Now I'm not going to show you the code on example 2, but you'll notice earlier you've been printing these parentheses without any particular purpose. You're just required to do so. Now you can see that I've actually filled information in here. I've put a string, my name. I've got these variables here, 1964 and 2019. And if I run example 2 next to example 1, you'll see that I get an identical output. All right. But what's super cool is I could just change this. I'll say that it's Mary, and I was born in, let's say, we'll go all the way up into this 2001. And how old will I be in the year 2059? And you can see that it's going to handle everything. It's going to take these numbers and it's going to pass it down to the function, and then it's going to substitute in all that information. So on a single line, I've manipulated everything I'm dealing with, which is just awesome. Okay. Example 3 is another way to do your stuff remotely. And what I've done here is I've created a set of variables. Okay, so I've got the a name, I got the year born, the current year, and then of course how old it's going to be. And then I've actually put those values in. So I have Brian 1964 2001, and you can see that it's substituting in those variables into these prints. But here's the thing which is kind of cool. All right, so when it wants to calculate my age, it's going to call another function. All right, and it's going to put in there the year born and the current year. But what's really cool is it's going to go down, it's going to calculate that and return it to this position. So year X will be equal to whatever calculation happens here. All right, so if I run this, it won't look like Mary, but it should look like this one. All right, and it went down and it calculated it and it returned it back to this variable year X. So I can change these things. I can say that I was born in 1984 and the year is 2027, and it's going to take those two numbers, insert it here, shoot down to that function, that non-void function, and then return the value back to here. Okay? So this is kind of an overview of what you're going to try to learn on Chapter 5, and I hope that seeing it happen is useful, so you appreciate your target, and I will see you again soon.